All right, we're about ready now to start mind mapping, and I want you to get out your textbook, and we're going to turn to chapter 1. Our textbook is, actually we're pretty lucky in that it helps us a lot to figure out what the main ideas and the vocabulary are. And so I want you to turn to chapter 1, to the chapter preview page that is right here. And I want you to notice that on this page here, we have the title of the chapter, chapter 1, and we have a chapter preview on this side that tells us the titles and names of each section of the chapter. All right, so what we're going to start by doing is, and I'm following along with this worksheet here, Mind Mapping, or How to Read Your Science Book. We're going to start with step 1. Start your map by writing the chapter title in the center of the paper. Then draw a picture that represents that title around or behind the title. So I'm going to take my piece of paper, and it doesn't matter if you do landscape style or portrait, it's your own decision. But I'm going to use landscape style, and I'm going to write Science Skills, the title of the chapter, in the middle. Not too big, but big enough. There in the center of my map. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what kind of picture goes with science skills, so I'm just going to draw a general scientific picture. And most people think of like a beaker or some sort of thing. I'm going to draw what's called an Erlenmeyer flask because it's pretty easy to draw. And I'm going to draw it kind of behind my picture. I'm going to draw it like this. Draw something bubbling inside with some bubbles coming out like that. Some more bubbles on the inside, and there we go. Okay. Now you don't have to worry if you're really bad at drawing. You can draw stick figures for this, or you can frankly copy what I'm drawing, and that's fine. But I prefer, like, if you are good at drawing, that you draw whatever you think of when you hear the word science skills, because the drawing links your right side of your brain to the left side of the brain, which is looking at the words science skills and writing them down. Okay. Now, step 2 of this worksheet says split the rest of your page into as many sections as are in the chapter. Well, how do you find that out? You look at this page here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections in this chapter. So I'm going to split my page into 4 sections. 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Now, number 3 says write the title of each main section and draw a picture that represents each section. Again, it's all on this front page. First section says what is science. So I'm going to write what is science here at the top of this section. Now I'm going to kind of start writing in my normal size. What is science? And for my picture, I'm going to draw a big fat question mark for my picture for that section. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here if I can figure out how with the way I've rigged my camera. There you go. So you can see that I've just drawn what is science. And then in the section, it says using a scientific approach. Well, I'm going to kind of shorten that up, okay? And I'm just going to say scientific approach. A picture for that, well, the best thing I could think of was an airplane like approaching the landing site. You might have a better picture than mine, in which case please feel free to draw it. And while I try to draw an airplane here, you'll realize that you don't really have to be a good artist to do these sorts of things. Okay, I'm going to move on to section 3, which is measurement. And for this section, I'm going to draw simply a ruler. That's pretty easy. And my last section in this chapter is called Presenting Scientific Data. I'm going to shorten that up too. I know I meant reading a science book, so I'm just simply going to call it Presenting Data. And I'm going to even just do Present Data. And for a picture, how about, like a bar graph? Scientists love bar graphs, right? There you go. And now we have done step 3. Now step 4 of this worksheet says to open your book to each section of the chapter. Write down the subtopics in that section's corner. And then step 5 says write down the keys. Step 6 says write down the bold vocabulary words. Step 7 says use keywords. Step 8 says print. 9 says use only single words or short phrases. And 10 says use colors, pictures, and codes for emphasis. Finally, 11 says to link topics together if you see them. I'm going to actually do all of those things at the same time. Might sound a little scary, but I'm a professional, and you will be too pretty quickly.